Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be painting a sunrise viewed through some trees. I'm thinking that this will be an interesting painting. I want to play with mark making a lot. I'm going to try some different knives and just kind of relax and have a good time. And I hope you will too. Yeah, I'm just going to get into it. And I was sick for a few days, so I'm just kind of looking to do something easy and pretty and have a little fun. So shouldn't be anything too strenuous, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm going to start by mixing up a few different colors. That'll be kind of the background layer for this. I'm going to think a blue, sort of a greeny orange, kind of a dark gray, purple. I think that's what I'll start with. So start with my light blue. Yeah, that'll be. Sorry, try not to clear my throat too much, but it's a little bit unavoidable. I'll try to edit it out though. A little bit of this ultramarine too. If there's any in there still, I might have to pull out a little more of that. Oh, there we go. Let's see. That's about right. Drop a little bit of solvent into that. I'm going to do kind of the top third with this wash. A little bit of solvent in my jar here, and just so I can dip my brush in it really. Maybe do these kind of expressively. So I'm gonna have some kind of blue sky at the very top. A little bit off this knife here. I didn't want to make an excessive amount. We'll start this one out thin. It's going to have a few different layers because I've got the sort of sky as the backdrop, and then we've got some clouds in front of that. And we've got some trees that go from the bottom all the way to the top in front. And we've got some sort of mountains too in the sun. So if I start out thin, I can do a little bit more layering. I'm thinking I'll probably end up kind of lighting it all up with a bit of wax at the end, but I'm gonna stop short of doing that, or at least promising to do that. So I probably will. All right, so I'm gonna take this sort of deep purple, do a little alizarin, and more of this cobalt. Let's see. That's pretty good. Just gonna wash this off a little bit. A little bit of this mixing won't be a bad thing. I don't want it to overpower it. It's pretty clean. Pour a little bit more of this solvent in this jar. Put it in there too. Pretty bold start. I think it'll be good though. I'm gonna just feathering this out. I don't want this initial bit to be too thick. Get that little blob out of there. No blobs, please. Good opportunity to sort of blend these in a little bit, which is kind of cool. I really like having the painting have sort of thick areas and thin areas slightly, like letting the brush strokes show in some places, not in others. Okay, even soften that edge right there. Just a little bit. These edges of the clouds are a little wispier. There's going to be a really bright orange stripe that's going to kind of come in here later, but I'm going to skip it for now. The next color that I want to have is kind of it's almost like a bright green, kind of a yellow green. I'll wash this purple out of my brush. Try to get as much of it out of mechanically first, I guess. That way all that paint doesn't end up in my brush cleaner. And then clean this guy out. This next color, I'll actually be able to have a bit of this blue that I already made. So that's convenient. Grab my knife and I'll wipe that off too. Right. So I'm going to grab a little bit cad yellow, just a little, pop that in here. I think that's going to be just about right. Looks a little bit dark here. It's about the right color. Try that out. It's going to be thin too, so you'll see a little bit of the white from the gesso through it anyway. Yeah, that looks super dingy. Oh, you know what? I got a little brush cleaner in there too. Out of there. A little bit of salt in here. It smells nice. I really like this lavender spike oil. You can use it pretty much just like mineral spirits, and it's not bad for you, and it actually smells kind of pretty. I'm a fan. Alright, so mix a little bit of white into this even, actually. Just lighten it up a little bit. Try that out. Well, it still looks dark compared to the rest of it, but it might just be because I've got all this white. The color to me looks right. Sometimes you just have to trust it. Alright, I like that. I like the way this is kind of mixing in here. Just kind of playing with the gesture of these clouds a little bit. I try not to worry too much early on, because I think a lot of this will get covered up. So, alright, the next color I want to get just a little stripe of little cad red, and maybe a little bit of this cad yellow here. Just mix those in so it won't be completely full. And just scrub it in this tree line here. Kind of just feeds it a little bit. I'm gonna bring a little bit more of this purple in here that I already made. Just gonna sketch in my hills. Keep layering in some of this purple, some of this orange. Kind of building up a base down here. A little brush out of there. Where it went. Looks like it's gonna turn back up again. Another painting from the same day already a little while ago now, and I like it. It's one of my favorites that I've done. And normally I don't sort of revisit the same scenes or references, but it's also kind of impossible to keep coming up with, well, not that you can't come up with them, but if you have some favorites, I think it's okay to do them again, right? That's my thinking here anyway. Curious if I make it similar, if I make it different. I feel like they're all kind of unique. It all kind of depends on how I'm doing that day, what I'm fascinated by, how I'm seeing things. Like if I ever had to like recreate any of these, I don't know that I could, you know. Okay, that's feeling pretty good to me. Wash out this big brush. I might move to a smaller one and push some things around. And then pop in with some knives. Start really building it up. Use this one just because it doesn't have a hard edge on it. I kind of wish I had a bigger one like this, but I just use it to feather out some of these spots here. Let's see. These hills are pretty faded, pretty far away. And start just kind of creating a little bit more variation on them. It's almost, we're actually seeing the like tops of trees as much as we're seeing mountains. These great little bits and bobs of leaves clinging to the trees that I'm excited to put in here. They're almost like glowing as the light's coming through them. I think it'll be a little bit before they get to show up, but I think it's gonna look pretty cool. Might be enough of that. think I'm deciding is I'm gonna lay the trees in quickly with a brush also, maybe. I haven't decided yet. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna quickly do that. I'm gonna use a color I rarely use as well. We'll see. See if I live to regret this. I'm gonna pop a little bit of black onto my palette. But I'm gonna start by using it pretty thin. So I think that while it will be dark later, right now it's okay if it goes in a little bit translucent. I'll just try it and see what happens. Not worried about placing this exactly, but just trying to get the overall character of this tree. I like how it's kind of mixing in a little bit, just creating a bit of variation in here. I'm just mostly observing the different shapes of the different branches. It's nice to be able to have a photo to work from for this because it just makes the tree a little bit more realistic. Even if I'm not painting a lot of detail on it, just gives the form a little bit more believability. I don't know, at least that's how I feel about it. I like how this is actually working to layer up these branches. Alright, I'm not gonna go too crazy here. I really just want to get a couple of these in. Let's see. It's hard to know when to stop, but because I know I'm gonna end up filling in sort of the in-between areas of the sky in order to get them to really light up the way I see them anyway. This particular black that I'm using is a new color to me. Is Gamblin's chromatic black. So it's actually made not from a sort of a, actually I won't say I don't know for sure if black paint is normally made from like a charcoal type pigment or something like that. That might not be true. Don't quote me on it. Maybe I'll check. But in any case, this particular black is made from red and green the way that I often mix blacks, so it looks a lot more similar the way I'd mix it was just kind of conveniently pre-mixed for me, so I figured I'd give it a shot. These sort of silhouette shapes, it's kind of a nice way to do it. I'll probably mix my blacks later the way I usually do, but I thought for a first pass here it might be a decent way to try. It's a really gnarly tree here. It's got a lot of different things going on. All right, knife time soon, I promise. Okay. Okay. That's a good starting spot. Okay, so wash this brush out too. Part of why I like to, or why I decided to block these in as well, is because I can have them here, and I can have them located in things. So then, as I'm working out some of these types of shapes, I won't be making really thick paint over them, since that would make it harder to kind of get them back in where they belong later. At least that's the that's the reasoning anyway. Let's see how it goes. All right. I'm going to clean off my palette here. Just give it a quick scrape. Not scrape a lot of stuff into my white. Pretty good. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see where we go from here. I might actually try out some funny knives. So I'm gonna bring this one out, keep it nearby, and I'm gonna mix up some colors. So these will be, for the most part, more colors, but are similar to what I've done so far. Just going in a little bit thicker now. Yeah. Add a little bit more cobalt to the palette. Maybe a little bit of phthalo too. Let's see, how's my phthalo pile doing? Is it all a little gunky? Yeah, we'll start fresh with that. I'm gonna go into my darkest areas first. So for this, it's going to be a lot of these purples. So refresh the alizarin too. They can sit in a little bit. Well, that's a nice delicious purple. Let's see. Bringing in some of that. Even though we had a similar color, when it goes on thin, it doesn't have as much life to it. Just gonna go in here and see what I can do. Try to work some different tones in here too. Yeah, like some of these sort of lines moving through kind of gives the impression of some of these different sticks and branches. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it'll work, maybe it'll be awful. But you don't know unless you try. So it is what it is. So much of this is like a little bit like developing the memory, a little bit like, I don't know, sort of muscle memory, but also just kind of intuition too. So I think even if you watched like a couple different artists taking the same scene or the same photo, they wouldn't, you know, no two people would actually approach it the same way. So we all kind of develop our own way of seeing, way of creating. I love that about it. I think it's really quite neat. I need to mix up a lot more of this. Okay. What did I have going on here? I'm still a little bit spacey, I think. Okay. Mix a little bit of white in with some of this as well. That's what I'm seeing kind of along this. Edge. There's I'm not gonna worry too much about going over my trees either. I think I'll probably end up bringing them back, but I just wanted them to have at least the main branches to have their location kind of determined. So if I go over the edge a little bit, that's okay. That can be fixed. You have to be kind of willing to lose detail, find detail, bring it in, bring it back. Putting this on fairly thin, at least thin compared to, not brush thin, but knife thin. So kind of just almost like spreading butter on something. Trying to get a nice even coverage, but not huge chunks either. Like how even though there's like almost no texture on this right now, it's already able to sort of pick up little bits here and there. Start kind of creating a little bit of detail, or the illusion of detail. Keep going. So sort of light coming through here. I like that effect a lot. I wish I had a little more consistency from one side to the other right now. Might just steal a little paint from there, bring it in here. That's one reason not to have done the trees early like this, is because now I have to work on these little boxes as opposed to being able to just go straight across. But with scenes like this, with trees, you're kind of almost, it's kind of unavoidable one way or the other. You're going to end up with something a little finicky. I don't know, at least I think that's inevitably part of it. There's probably strategies. I think a lot of it comes down to simplifying them as much as possible without losing too much. I like this scraping thing, it's funny. I like it. I think because I put the thin layer on first, it's not pulling all the paint off, it's just pulling off like kind of cool. All right, let's see. I think the next area I want to work into are these dark clouds here. Sticking with the whole theme of working kind of dark to light. So these are going to be, they are really quite similar to this purple, but they're probably a little bit lighter and a little bit more blue. So I'm going to put a little bit of white in here. Mix it in with this purple that I have. Let's see where that gets me. Looking pretty good. If anything, it's a little dark, but I'm gonna try putting it in here. Let's see. We'll see where that goes. Again, I'm not gonna worry too much about covering up these trees. We'll try. I'm actually going to be even more reckless with it this time. Let's see what happens. I'm hoping that there's a way that I can kind of work back and forth on these and kind of find a way to do it that gives me that right feel without having to be super careful. Try to avoid having to get out any small tools. That's that's how I think about strategizing with the knife painting a lot. Is if you get out a tiny brush, you can make any shape you want. It might take you a long time, and it might look like you suffered a lot doing it, which I don't think anyone wants to see, honestly. I think that it's not ideal. So I think that I'd rather have kind of big gestural shapes. And if I can kind of overlap enough big shapes, then I get kind of good small shapes that just come naturally out of the process. That's the theory anyway. I'll try it. Let's see, can I scrape? I can scrape that back out. That's kind of cool. I don't know exactly where they are, so there's a trickiness to that. We'll see what happens. Worst case, it turns into something kind of abstract and cool. Okay, that's interesting. All right, I want to go another step lighter and a little bit more blue, maybe into like phthalo territory. So I'm going to take a little bit more white, a little bit of phthalo. Kind of mix it into that blue that I have. I'm going to just use that only on the top edge of this area. Kind of mixing it in here, nice and wet. Quite so much of that over here. Just let's put a little touch of it. There we go. It's starting to have a glow to it, though. I think it's getting there. I think the values are actually at this point pretty close to where I see them. The only exception being the sun, but I'm kind of holding off on that for now. Yeah, it's pretty good. Alright. How's this wax? I think I need some fresh wax too. Okay. Take a little bit. And just kind of scratch down these trunks here. Just kind of start bringing their shape back in. At least in the areas that I feel like I'm bringing them back. Kind of like this. This knife's really cool. Curious if anyone out there are there any knife painters out there, or are most of you that paint? I'm using brushes right now. Think about this a lot like weaving, like I'm taking shapes and bringing them over other shapes, and we'll do a little of this, a little bit of that. A lot of these trees are gonna be silhouetted for the most part, but I'm thinking that these lines could help give me a bit of a bark texture. Right now they're obviously just wet and they're scraping away and turning kind of white, but I'm thinking I might be able to use a little bit of that texture later to put in these darks. Picked up a little orange there. Oops. Be careful not to put too much black in there right now because I might want to move around and do a little of this and that, and I don't want to try not to end up with a lot of black mixed into everything. Scraping up the top of these trees here. Sometimes it feels better to do something a little crazy and stick on the safe route. So, I don't know, just kind of moving around, knocking stuff around, seeing what happens, what comes out of this. I have to answer to every decision in this. I couldn't. I don't want to. I think there's enough things in life that have to be that way, that art doesn't need to be one of them. Let's see. It's fun. I might actually let this set up a bit, and then come back with some wax and build it up a bunch more. But I like where it's going right now. For a minute there, I wasn't quite sure, but I think it's gonna be cool. All right. Well, I'll be back in a few. All right. And I'm back. It's been a few days since I worked on this. I was feeling a little bit more tired again, so I took a little bit more of a break. Just didn't want to force it. But I'm back again, and let's see. I think that I want to start by working on the lights in this. I'm gonna keep going with the different like serrated knives, and I want this whole thing to have kind of this sort of like jagged but glowy texture with a lot of different colors kind of weaving inside of them. So I think I'm going to start by working the lights with some wax, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to work on the darks, possibly with some wax, possibly not, depending. Yeah, I'm going to get some wax out and give that a start. I want to get this feeling of the light kind of weaving, kind of coming through the trees and coming towards you, and sort of have it kind of cover up some of these edges here where I've established some branches. So I'll probably work this light area at the top and then this stripe here. I'm going to start working the sun in as well. Yeah, should be cool. Get out some of this cold wax medium. I really like this stuff. It just makes your paint a lot thicker, and also kind of a satin sheen. You can kind of rely on the white of the board to to bring some light to it, but I feel like putting the wax layer with the wax and a light color mixed together just really makes it pop. So that's what I'm doing with these. Alright. But feels good to be painting again. If I go too many days without painting, I get a little grouchy, so. Best to avoid that. Start actually by mixing up this sort of orange highlight color that I'm seeing kind of around the sun, along this line, and then also on the bottom of these clouds where I haven't put it in yet. I'm gonna start by putting that in. So I think for that, I'll take some of this cad yellow and actually get a little bit of magenta out as well. Put this, put it in the back row. And where is it? And my cad red light. It's like become one of my favorite colors. I think it has a lot of saturation, but it's not a really dark color. It just works in really well for a lot of these sunrise, sunset scenes. So, let's start. Take a little of this magenta. I'm gonna probably mix a couple similar colors here, just to kind of start thinking about them. Okay. These are both very saturated right now. Let's go one more step here. That's probably the closest. I'm kind of thinking a little mix of all of those will be nice. So I'm going to put a little wax into each pile. And just kind of get those mixed up. I think when the wax is mixed in, they do look more similar. All right, and then this one here. Go one more step yellow to take the rest of this cad yellow. This is going to be really vibrant. I may have more of these than I need, but start there. See where it goes. I want to have enough paint to work with that I don't feel tempted to make it too thin either. I wonder how this knife would work. Actually, I want to use this one. This is the same knife I used for most of the wolf painting, and I feel like it might work really well for this. I'm gonna start with my more orangey one here. Just try and pick up some of these trees right at the top edge. This horizon line. Purple underneath this is mostly set up. It is mixing in a little bit though. I actually kind of like this texture. I'm grabbing kind of this area that's been lit up by the sun, which I haven't placed yet. Let's just go a little lighter here. Start placing that in. A little darker again. Go even darker here. Bring in some of these more red tones. Kind of integrate some of these other kind of mixy lines that I had before. Couldn't tell you exactly what I'm doing because I'm sort of just feeling it out. Maybe you'd do it differently. That's great. I think I like it. Sometimes I notice, like, when I'm watching somebody else paint, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. And then sometimes it comes out great. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know, that gives me an idea for something I want to do sometime. I think that's what can be powerful about seeing how different people make art. It's kind of like no wrong answer. It's just different ways of going about it. We're all different, have different ideas, and that's cool. I don't want to get too lost in these dark areas. I was originally planning to mostly work on the light, but I wanted to kind of expand this a little bit and see how it would play out. Kind of get this sense of this sparkle here. A little bit more. Going a little bit lighter. even bring in a little bit of white here. Start working in the sun. Just putting a little bit of wax down here to kind of start to see where that's going to be. I don't want it to get too light. Try to keep my lights more saturated than light in color, so like not a lot of white in them. Ideally, I think it just gives it a little bit more glow. That's starting to see that sort of just popped in there. Now it's got more of that sunny look. Using a knife kind of makes you be a little bit more strategic with your mark making too. So you can't make every little line you see. You know, it's kind of the way it goes. Getting there. All right. Then I'm going to have some of this very bright highlight on the bottom of this cloud, which at first, until you have the sun lighting things up, it doesn't really look like it glows, you know. And once you start to see the effects that it has on the environment, then it starts to glow for real. I didn't want to work this in because I thought that it would get, with the blue, it was going to get too muddy the first day. So a lot of times I'll try and keep my, sort of do a blue day and an orange day separate. Not always, but it often works pretty well to do that. I'm covering up little bits of my trees, but it's a little bit of an experiment. I'm planning to bring them back over later. But I just think it's okay if a little bit of this glow kind of creeps around them first, you know? That's the theory anyway. As I get a little bit further away from the sun, I'm going more dark and more red with this highlight. Just gives that sense of the light dropping off. Let's see. This could go even a little bit higher on here. Good. I'm liking that. Okay. Take a little bit more of this. Take this shiny edge up now. This is an opportunity to kind of adjust this tree line a little bit here. I don't want this to look super sharp, so I'm kind of putting it in and then going across it a little bit more. I want that feeling of the softness and the light. little more white. Mix that in here. Okay. Maybe even a little more white and a bit more yellow. Let's see. There we go. That's really nice and bright. A little more wax too, I think. Maybe a little bit more yellow, but also want to bring some more blue into it too. It's almost a little bit green. That sort of lets it relate to this upper blue area, since it is, and this is a continuous piece here with the clouds popping out over it. So bring in a teeny bit of cobalt. A teeny bit, not enough to overpower anything. Just mix that into some white. Let's see, be like a tiny bit more even. Yeah, we'll try that. And we'll mix a little in between color. Mix a little bit of white and wax in. Let's try that. Just get the edges of these clouds here. Layer that in over this. It's almost like, something about this feels almost like stained glass in a way. Like I've got these little cells and areas that I'm kind of working on individually. That are hopefully going to come together and make a nice complete piece. Do that. Do a little more yellow down here. That's cool. Okay. I'm starting to see it. It's starting to happen. Okay. Alright, so I've got still a little more of this kind of blue. I'm going to just kind of touch it in here underneath this cloud here. If you have a color, and two colors kind of next to each other that are different, they kind of vibrate. I guess it's the vibrance. That's the term for it, but it makes them both look a little bit more intense. So I think having these oranges and blues close together at least in some areas, just gonna boost the whole thing up. All right. So I've got, bring this a little bit more yellow here. Yeah, I like how all these textures are coming together. think that there's so much to what a mark can do for a painting. Almost picture every one of these little knife marks with these little serrations. This could almost be like a twig coming off of these trees. Because obviously I didn't draw all the twigs in that are coming off of these trees. But little bits that could be getting lit up here and there. These little couple of leaves hanging on, the sun's hitting them. You don't have to know what every little bit is. It's there. Like, it works almost not because the paint is great or because like my painting of it is great, but it's because it makes you connect with something you've seen before. I think the other thing is that you get these kind of positive and negative shapes. So, like, because this is round, even though maybe the shape of this tree right here isn't exactly like that, it just it feels like the light's coming through. I feel like light is round. Is that, I don't know, in my mind it is. When I paint light, it's round. See, there's all these different colors right there, kind of overlapping and complementing each other. All right, that's pretty nice. Got a little more yellow in there. Get a little more blue here. Some of them I'm trying to have a certain amount of sense to these areas that are overlapping each other. That's pretty cool. I like this area a lot. How it's coming together. Move up and do this top light area as well. Let's see. But I think before I do that, I'm going to scrape this canvas down, or this palette down. So I'm going to see if there's any more that I want to use these colors for. I'm going to just pop them in. Do something else, but a little bit of white on my knife now, so I don't want to get this all too light, but a couple of little highlights here and there won't be a bad thing. Oh, that's perfect. There's actually like a little leaf like right there. That's actually, it's got like the right light. Yeah, those are nice. Okay, I'll probably do more like that later. darken up some of these lighter blues here. Put the glow in the sky. All right. I think I'm going to use a little phthalo for that. And some white. Come on, you're in there. I know you are. There it is. It's been easy to add too much. That is about perfect. All right. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit of wax. Mix that in. I like that one. I'm gonna do one just a step darker as well. Try that out. It's probably a little dark. I'm gonna put the wax in though and see where it sits then. Maybe add a little more white. Yeah, I think a little more white would be good. Okay. Start by just putting in some dots here where I think they'll be helpful to have. So I'm gonna go across the top. I'm gonna go a little heavier in the corners with this darkest shade. Just using this knife because it's a little bit easier to get good coverage with initially. And I'm gonna move it around with the jagged one. That's the theory anyway. And take a little of this, a little of that. Do kind of an in-between one. Pop that down one layer below. And I'll be able to scratch away some of these branches and just bring them back. You know, just dots. Not worrying about too much else. Sometimes I think about this almost like putting some paint down. It's almost like a secondary palette. Like it's just to get it off of here and onto here, and then I can always refine it a little bit afterwards. And then I'll get this lightest color. I'm gonna even put a little bit more wax in that. Okay, this one. I'm taking like some inspiration from my reference at this point, but I'm also just kind of looking at the painting and making decisions based on it too. Like sometimes it's good to know when to leave the reference behind and just explore the painting itself. I think, anyway. Just one more tone. Actually, I haven't mixed that I think I'd like to, which is a bit more of a purple. So I think I'm going to do that too. So let me grab a little bit of this magenta, just a little, and mix that into my blue there. Let's see, is that about right? Maybe even a little darker. Threw in some more of that blue. I think that's pretty good. I'll try and work that in. That's almost like the top of these clouds as they fade into the light above them. Yeah, I think that's pretty nice. Yeah, I think these colors I'm able to get just a little brighter. Kind of a nice way this way. Okay. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I'm almost tempted not to. I'm gonna texture it a little bit. We'll see. I may end up doing the whole thing. Yeah, I don't like it when one part looks all one way and another part looks a completely different way. It's just again, it's a personal preference. So I'm gonna start by just sweeping some of these lines up here. It may not go all the way here. I don't know. I'll see how I feel about it as I do it. No, I do like that a lot, actually. All right, so again, I think it gives a sense of the little branches that could be up here. Just all this movement through the trees. I feel like I always think about like all these little pathways for light, for air, for everything to kind of move around. I get a little haunted by it sometimes. Sometimes because it's hard to represent, but also because the challenge is really fun. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Yeah, it's sort of given that. I feel like the wood from the trees is really starting to have the right look to it. Like it's abstracting in a really nice way. It went from looking kind of too smooth and like cartoony to really having that kind of carved, forested look. I'll have to remember that. That worked out really well with the putting down with the first knife and then just using this one to texture. I think I was able to just plop in the colors I wanted a little bit more easily, and now they're mixing together, but they're actually not blending as much as it might look. Like I'm kind of more texturing, and it sort of drags one color through another color, but they're not becoming the kind of in-between color. They're kind of staying separate. Oh, it's looking good. Okay. Until you kind of go through this process, like I couldn't have told you at the beginning sort of what this painting would end up looking and feeling like. I just kind of had an idea of how I wanted to get into it, and then I started working it out. I think it's part of the fun of it. It's just getting into it, enjoying the process. That's very cool. Okay. That's coming along. Okay. Cool. Let's see. So, I'm pretty happy with this. I don't think I'm going to go into much more detail in this upper part of the trees. I think I want to bring in a little bit more darkness into the thicker trunk areas, and I want to work on the sun a bit more and just get that glow up a little bit. It's still not that bright yet, but I think I'll get it there. I may go another day on this and let that set up a little bit more, but we'll see. Let's see. And these clouds here, I might want to go a little bit more into those. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. They are very dark in some spots. I think they could just use a little bit more softness too. So I'm going to go with the similar process to what I did up here. I'm going to just kind of work the clouds again the same way. So I think I did that purple was with some alizarin and some phthalo to start. And that was very dark. And then I think I mixed it in with some white. I think I'm going to just try. Yeah, move into this pile here. That's perfect. That's even a little light. Go even a little darker. Pull a little more in. Okay. And it almost looks the same color, but it's not quite. So just kind of doing the same thing I did before. I popped it in I've got sort of this edge between the two colors that I had before. I feel like going for an in-between color, like giving it a transition color. It's just gonna kind of soften this up and actually make these clouds look a little bit rounder. Lighten up a little bit more on this side, actually. Just remembering I don't need to fill it all in. I'm gonna go back in with my other knife and do that. Saying this to remind myself as much as tell you. All right. Okay. Try that out. Let's see. It just kind of softens a little bit. Try not to mix my oranges and my blues too much here, though. It's kind of that right amount between having that edge appear soft and then having them mix together and blend in a less desirable way. There we go. That, I think it's giving those clouds just a little bit more character now. They were looking like a little too like a stripe before those edges started to fade in. Yeah, okay. I like this process. I'm having fun with it. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be when I started this one. But I had a feeling there was something cool I could do with it. Here we go. I like those clouds now. This little edge here. Pretty nice. All right. So I'm gonna start by working into some of these trees now. Use this knife for that to start with. Again, I'm going to probably lay in the color first and then I'm going to adjust it later, and I think this will work the best for getting in there. I'm going to start with some of this black from before and a bit of that dark purple that I had. I'm going to add a little bit of wax to this just because I think that will be nice for the texture. We'll see how I like that. The wax also keeps the paint from getting too streaky, and I really don't want to end up mixing this black into anything else. I want it to stay just in the trees. So start by Just popping this in. Areas that I think could use the most contrast. And I may not, maybe I won't even go over this with additional texture, we'll see. I like how this is going on nice and thick though. It's starting to, I think having the trees have some value shifts is nice. It keeps them from just looking too pasted on, which is kind of, I feel like it's always something that is a little risky with these types of backlit scenes, where you don't want the trees to take over visually, but you do want them to have a little something to them. So I'm hoping I can keep enough variety in them, and also have these sort of knife marks and texture to bring them out a bit. Let me put some sort of highlights on these edges as well. Okay, I want to go even a little darker here. I'm going to try go a little bit less wax and see how that feels. I think it does look a little darker when I do it that way. I think when it dries, it may not stay that way. It may kind of ultimately look the same, but I like that alizarin though, like kind of deep purple black is nice. I'm trying to vary these a little bit, just not to have them all the same. I'm gonna put a little bit more of that over here too though. I like that. I like having just these little notes where it varies. It's nice. And I'm not seeing that because it's there. I'm seeing that because I want to see it that way. I think you have to realize the camera doesn't give you everything. So it's fine to ignore things, change things. I think with practice you get a little bit more confident as to when to do that. You know, for me it's been part of the learning curve. For a while you do want to just copy things, but a lot of times I don't. The other thing that I've learned is like you can't get, I mean, I don't know, maybe you can and maybe I just can't, but you can't always get like the full range of values that you want right away. So if if you try to paint the final color immediately, and you might not get what you're looking for. And it's like, it's okay to know that it's a process and you'll get there, but it's not immediate. I think just a little bit of this blue. I like this idea of even having these have just slightly different colors. This one's a little behind that one, and I made it a little bit bluer. I think the other thing that bringing in these darks is doing right now is it's actually giving me more light, or showing me how much light I already had in here. And now the sun that was feeling like it wasn't bright enough is actually, I think I still might brighten it more, but it doesn't feel as necessary. So it's a good reason to kind of work over the whole painting at once. I love seeing it come together though. Doing pretty good. I'm gonna just put a little bit of light in the sun, and that might be that. I like it. I feel like it has a great like sense of texture over it, but I think it's also not so overworked. It's a little abstract, but I think I like the feel. I'm debating in covering more of these original marks here and kind of going over the whole thing, but I don't know if it needs that. I'm gonna scrape this blue off. Sometimes I feel like if I had a palette that was like 3 times the size of this, I would still use the whole thing and make a mess. I don't know. It's just the way it goes. So clean it off. Start fresh. So. A little bit of this cadmium yellow light, which actually I have a little on my palette, but it's a little dirty, so just put a little bit there. And there's this knife here. It's got a little bit of a round end, which I think will work fairly well. Take some white, take a little bit of this yellow. Pretty bright. I think we can go even whiter. And some wax. Start there. Get this kind of flat looking. I feel like I want it to be a very super textured sun. Alright, that's pretty good. Take a little bit more white. A little bit more wax. Put that in on top too. There we go. Let's get in there. And the question is, do we want to put a little bit more of the cadmium yellow with the yellow light? Just hit this edge a little bit here. I think so. Just get these little sun rays kind of flying off. Okay. Don't want to overdo that. I do want to keep, I think, the texture that I had in here, so just going over. Again, I don't want to blend it. I kind of want to bring this texture in that I've got. I overdo it. I have to put some more of my dark oranges in. I want to just try it, see what happens. Pretty good. I think I actually need an even lighter. Now that I'm seeing it, I think I needed that even lighter orange tone in here. Maybe even a little bit on this cloud too. It's funny how things can shift once you've got colors around your other colors. That's getting actually much closer now. Get a little bit more of this light filtering down onto these trees as well. Being careful not to mix into my blacks. It's kind of the nice thing about having done that original layer is it lets me have a little space between my wet paint. I feel like it's glowing, but it's a little bit softer than what I had before. I think it actually is a little bit nicer. Just kind of doing a little bit of blending here too. Just carrying that same softness across. Okay. In this area here, I kind of started to put some of this in, and I'm kind of feeling like I'll scrape it out a little bit more. Just kind of give this effect of some of this. So it's kind of just scraping with the back of the knife and kind of mixing these in where this had gotten a little bit more jagged looking. I needed to have some lace, I feel like. Some of these marks are a little distracting right now. And I like them, I like the variation. But I'm trying to just make them feel a little more at home. I think that's pretty good. Okay. Okay. Let me mix a a little bit more of that purple color in. Maybe a bit of wax in that. Just trying to, yeah, maybe some of this closer sort of plant life. It's more similar to the tones of the trees up here. Again, try not to have it completely silhouette looking, but bring in a little bit of that. Just feels a little bit more grounded that way. I think I'm gonna do the same thing over here in this corner. Just keeps the thickness a little bit more consistent throughout too. There we go. I think that looks good to me now. Yeah. Nice. Look, there's some little flecks of light kind of popping in here and there. Sort of the way that I see it. Cool. Alright. I think that's good. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next.